Alright, so in this video we're going to talk about how to load a skid steer with a mulching head. See right here? This skid steer weighs right at 13,000 pounds. The weight of the engine is all the way in the back, so normally a lot of guys like to back the skid steer up whenever you load the trailer. But with the mulching head, you don't have to worry about that because this thing weighs 3,500 pounds, and so the weight's pretty evenly distributed whenever you get it up on this trailer. We found that it works well, it pulls well for us. So I'm gonna pull it straight up and then we'll go through how to chain it up and make sure you have all your points of contact. Whenever you're coming up, you can see there I just took my time coming up here, depending on how wide your trailer is. You just want to make sure that you're pretty well centered on the trailer. So the way you can do that is use these as guides back here. I got a little far right on that one, but when you're coming up, if you saw in that video how I raised my boom up, that was so I could see this left side and this right side. And then the idea is just to make sure your tracks are on that. Just make sure to take your time whenever you're doing this because this can be really dangerous. Whenever I started coming up at the angle in the video, you'll notice how I lowered my boom down, making sure not to knock the trailer. But you want to keep your weight down, and that's really going to help you just kind of glide up and over this hump right here. The last thing you want to do is have it super high and your weight be rocking back, because I've seen it when guys load equipment. Sometimes you can get right here and the equipment will rock, and then people freak out, and that's when accidents happen. So the main thing is just make sure to take your time here. Like, don't rush it. Make sure to keep the weight. If you're loading it forward, make sure you have a heavy attachment on the front, and then you keep your weight down. And then as far as loading it on your trailer, every trailer is going to be a little bit different. I've talked to a lot of experts about this, guys who pull a lot. One of my friends at the rental company, he's taught me a lot about loading trailers and like where the weight is good to be distributed. If you can get more weight forward, the better. The last thing you want is all your weight sitting on the back of the trailer. Because what happens is if your weight sits on the back of the trailer, whenever you're driving, your trailer will do this. And I've had it happen to me before, and it's really scary, especially when you're going down the highway fast. So if that happens, don't freak out, just slow down. Every time you're pulling, you just want to take extra precaution. Just go through a checklist, whatever that is. But whenever you get your equipment up here, you got to chain it down. And what I've been told is DOT recommends 4 points of contact, so you'll see how we chain it up. Rocky, come this way. We do it here, and if anybody watching this has feedback on how to make this better, please let us know. But what we found works well for us is to take a chain. This chain is 16 feet. If I were to buy it again, I would buy 20 feet chains. Take your chain and drape each side over the front attachment. This one, we latch into these little eyelets right here on the skid steer. Every piece of equipment is different. This is just how we do the skid steer. And then for this, we will take a trick my friend Dallas taught me at Indian Peaks Rental is to hook this in. A quick way to loosen these up if you don't know how to do it is to hook it in and then just hold one side and use this to go, that was the wrong direction, to loosen it up. Whenever you're working these, you want to give yourself as much room as possible without kicking these pins out. So you'll get that tight, you'll pull your chain tight, you get the length that you can pull this tight, pull your chain tight, and then get linked up on the tightest link you can get to without tensioning it. Then you'll make sure this is flipped in the right direction to tighten. All you do is tighten. You need to apply pressure right here to hold it on the back turn. So that's tightening it, and then that's just moving this lever so that you can get more tightness out of it. So that one is really tight as is. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I don't want to be walking around the trailer 18 times. So I like to have all my equipment ready to go up here. If I'm walking around the trailer, I'm thinking of what do I need to do on the way over. What I need to do on the way over here is go ahead and get the back chain tightened. The way we do this, there are 2 holes on the back of the skid steer here. One side, I latch around this circular point or cylinder and then create a tight loop here with your chain. The tighter the loop, the better. You don't want to put a lot of slack in your loop, because then whenever you're tightening it from the other side, you end up losing slack. Create a tight loop. Thanks to Dallas for Indian Peaks for teaching this one, but it works. So create a tight loop here. Take the chain, go to the other side. Go ahead and put your chain there. And then now we're going to use this to tighten your chain down. Same thing again. Latch it in. Make sure you're twisting in the right direction to loosen. Once you get it decently loosened up, take a loose chain tight. Latch it in the tightest length you can get. Flip this lever. This lever controls which way it rotates, either tightens or loosens. The way that you know if you're tightening this is if this is getting shorter. If this is getting longer, it's loosening. So you'll see, watch real quick as I tighten. You can see this getting shorter, and you can see this part getting shorter. And you can feel this getting tighter. Once you feel it getting tight, give it a couple more cranks, make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, you don't want chains dangling, all right? You don't want these dangling on the ground. Then, back here, while you're back here, ramps up. These take a bar with a pin in there. Those are in the back of the truck. So really, all we lack at this point is getting tension on this side of the chain and putting those pins in. Make sure that this goes in there. We'll use this to tighten here.